Before we begin the story, let us know where you're watching from by leaving a comment below. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story. Maria was exhausted after a whole week scrubbing floors like a private cleaning machine and folding endless sheets. This was the last tweet of the night. After this, I'm going straight home, sticking my feet in the fridge and collapsing on the floor, she mumbled, pushing the cleaning cart like a worn-out tractor. She entered the presidential suite, unimpressed by marble floors, crystal chandeliers, or towels folded into swans. All she wanted was to finish and go home. She cleaned the bedroom and finally reached the bathroom, the real battlefield. The bathtub. It was huge, white, imposing. She knelt down, rested her arms on the edge, and felt the world spin. Sleep hit her like a knockout punch. "Just 5 minutes," she whispered, sliding inside with all the grace of a panda rolling downhill. She lay there inside the empty bathtub, still in uniform, sneakers on, ID badge dangling, smudged mascara, mouth slightly open, and before she could finish the thought, just 5, she was snoring like a tiny asthmatic kitten. Victor, CEO of the Torres hospitality empire, entered the presidential suite with the urgency of a man 3 minutes away from exploding a long day. Boring meetings, fake smiles, and a cocktail event where the drinks were bad and the conversations were even worse. "All I want is a shower," he muttered, tossing his shirt onto the sofa. He opened the bathroom door with a tired sigh, and what he saw nearly gave him a heart attack. "What?" he shouted, jumping back as if he'd seen a ghost wearing headphones. There she was. A woman sleeping in his bathtub, snoring, wearing a cleaning uniform all twisted up, with one arm hanging over the side and the other hugging a bottle of soap. "What? How? Why?" Victor stammered, eyes wide, heart pounding. Maria woke up screaming, sitting up in a panic. "Did the rice burn? What? Am I late for school?" she yelled again, whipping her head around. "School? You're in my bathroom." Maria finally opened her eyes completely and froze. A man tall, shirtless, angry, rich, yelling, "Oh God, I'm dead. I died and ended up in the wrong heaven. Are you a trespasser? A psychopath? A cleaning spirit? I swear I wasn't planning to kill you," she screamed, throwing a sponge at him. "Kill me? Why would I be killed by a woman who smells like disinfectant?" Maria tried to scramble out of the bathtub, slipped, hit her knee, tried to grab the edge, slipped again, fell backwards, screamed, "I'm stuck." "The bathtub caught me. Are you possessed?" "I was just tired, that's all. I swear, I work here." Victor paused. He looked at the ID badge around her neck. Maria Lopez, housekeeping. "You work here?" "Yes, I did. Now I'm probably fired or dead from embarrassment. One of the two." Victor took a deep breath. "You fell asleep in my bathtub, in uniform, snoring. You heard that?" she whispered, turning bright red. The entire hotel heard it. Maria tried to get up, but her leg got tangled in a cleaning rag. She fell again, this time on her knees, arms raised. "Please, sir, I beg you, it was just exhaustion. I'm not crazy, just so tired. Why didn't you sleep somewhere else? A chair? The floor? Because no chair has the same charm as this bathtub, right?" Victor wasn't sure whether to call security or sit down and laugh. "Do you realize what a scandal this would be if a guest had found you?" "I know. I'd be fired, blacklisted, banned from the industry, and probably end up on a website titled "Cleaning Lady Sleeps in Guest's Bathtub and Snores in High C Major." Victor crossed his arms, assessing the situation. She was clearly a walking disaster, but she was funny and real, and she hadn't meant any harm, she was just exhausted. "Get up, Lopez. Seriously, am I fired? Get up before you become part of the suite's decor." She grabbed her bucket, sponge, and tripped 3 times before reaching the door. "Thank you. I swear I'll never touch a bathtub again, only showers. I promise." Victor stood there staring at the bathtub, silent. After a long moment, he laughed, a quiet, muffled laugh, but a real one. "What kind of hotel am I running?" Maria left the presidential suite like someone fleeing a crime scene, bucket in one hand, dignity in the other, or whatever was left of it. The hallway was silent, but she swore even the carpet was judging her. "Great, Lopez, congratulations. You slept in the bathtub of the hotel's most important guest. What's next? A nap in the kitchen," she muttered under her breath, sighing as she pressed the elevator button. The worst part was that her brain was on high alert. Tired? Yes. Exhausted? Absolutely. But now she was awake enough to write a doctoral thesis on extreme embarrassment. She stepped into the elevator, tried to hide in the corner, and pressed the button for the lobby. She just wanted to disappear. Victor remained there for a few more minutes, staring at the bathtub as if it were an Egyptian sphinx trying to present him with a riddle. The scene kept replaying in his mind. The woman snoring, the shock, the yelling, the confusion. It was unbelievable and funny way funnier than he wanted to admit. He sighed and walked over to the bed, but sleep was long gone. Instead, he picked up his phone. Raphael? Yes, I've arrived. No, I don't need anything right now. Just one thing. Who's in charge of housekeeping today? I can check for you, sir. Do that, discreetly. Did something happen? Let's just say I found a living surprise in my bathtub, he replied, before hanging up. He was still smiling. The next morning, Maria woke up to her alarm, ringing like the funeral bells for her own soul. She had slept less than 5 hours. Her body ached in places she didn't even know existed, and the shame from the day before still throbbed like an open wound. Maybe if I quit before they fire me, I'll still look like a respectable person, she said to the mirror while brushing her teeth. But deep down, she knew she couldn't. She needed the paycheck, the overtime, and most of all, she needed to keep paying for her younger sister's prep course. She put on her uniform, threw her hair up in a messy bun, and rushed out the door to avoid being late. If she was going to get fired, at least she'd do it on time. The hotel was busier than usual guests, staff, the strong smell of coffee in the air. Maria slipped past the front desk with quick steps, like she was on a secret mission to save her own reputation. She was determined to stay invisible all day, but the universe had other plans. During her break, she stepped out of the laundry room carrying a stack of bed sheets and ran straight into him, Victor. No suit, no security, no warning. And of course she tripped. The stack of sheets collapsed onto the floor like an avalanche. And, to make things worse, one of them flew straight into Victor's face, covering him from head to shoulders. "I didn't see you there," Maria shouted, frantically trying to pull the sheet off as if she were defusing a bomb. Victor calmly removed the fabric, his expression unreadable, and looked at her. Maria smiled, or tried to. It was more of a nervous grimace than a real smile. "Listen, about yesterday." "Yes, about yesterday," he cut in, still serious. "I've already apologized mentally like 100 times. I just didn't text you because, well, I don't have the CEO's number. I didn't even know you were the CEO, or that you'd be in the room, or that it was your room. Anyway, I don't usually sleep in other people's bathtubs, I swear." Victor raised an eyebrow. "Sleeping in a stranger's bathtub doesn't exactly sound like a good habit." "Yeah, I know. Terrible choice. It's just, the sleep hit me so hard it was like some kind of orthopedic mattress hypnosis." Silence, long enough for her to wish the ground would swallow her whole. Then Victor spoke. "Come with me." "Huh? Now? Like, now? Now?" "Yes, now." She stood frozen for 2 seconds, trying to figure out if this was a threat, an invitation, or the beginning of a corporate kidnapping. "I'm still in my uniform. Can I at least put the sheets down?" Victor turned and started walking ahead, like the world was in slow motion and he was the main character in an action movie. Maria dumped the sheets onto a cart and ran after him, completely panicked. "Oh God, this is the day I become a meme," she whispered. Victor's office was inside his presidential suite. Of course, because CEOs don't have regular offices, they have personal workspaces with city views, futuristic coffee machines, and sofas that look straight out of a European film catalog. Maria stepped in like she was entering enemy territory. Victor shut the door behind her and sat down in his chair as naturally as someone who was always in control. "Sit. I'd rather stand in a position of regret, Maria." She sat. "Okay, I'm ready to be fired now. Go ahead, be honest. Just let me know if I have to sign anything like, 'Yes, I slept in the bathtub and won't sue the hotel.'" Victor clasped his hands together and looked at her seriously. "I'm not going to fire you." She froze. "What? I'm about to make you an offer, but first I need to know, are you the kind of person who gets into trouble often?" "Trouble? Me? Of course not. I'm super professional except yesterday, and that one time I dropped a jar of olives in the elevator, oh, and the time when Maria." "Sorry." Victor leaned back. "Starting today, you're taking on a new role. I want you to be my personal assistant." Silence. Her brain just crashed. "You're what? Personal assistant?" "I need someone to help me escape boring meetings, dull dinners, Ridiculous social events, basically. Someone to get me out of awkward situations without making me look like an idiot. Maria blinked slowly. Are you serious? Completely. But I'm a housekeeper. Not anymore. Now you're my assistant if you want the job. I don't own business clothes. I don't speak CEO language. I say dude when I get nervous. Victor raised a hand, stopping her panic spiral. You don't need to look like an executive. Just be yourself. That's what caught my attention, your honesty, your spontaneity, and, of course, the audacity to fall asleep in my bathtub. Maria stared at him like he had just offered her a job as an astronaut. Is this a prank? Are there hidden cameras? I have better things to do than play tricks on sleepwalking housekeepers. She laughed nervously. And the salary? 3 times what you make now. Oh. She almost fainted but covered it up with a cough. Give me 2 seconds. She pulled out her phone and typed, Sophia, if I go missing, it was the CEO, but I'm going out in style. Then she looked at him. Deal. Victor gave a slight nod, a small smile on his lips. Great. You start tomorrow. The launch event for the new spa will be a good test. Maria stood up, still in shock. Okay. I'll, get ready. Find something appropriate to wear. Practice polite smiles in the mirror, and maybe sleep in an actual bed. Excellent idea. At the door, she paused, turned back, and asked, just out of curiosity, why me? Victor thought for a moment. Because you're the only person in this hotel who's made me laugh in months, and I'd rather have someone who makes me laugh than someone who puts me to sleep with boredom. She smiled, walking out of the office almost floating. Okay, but just to be clear, the bathtub is still yours. Later, in the employee cafeteria, Sophia Maria's chatty best friend nearly choked when she heard the news. You're going to be the CEO's assistant? He's totally in love with you. I saw this in a movie. Oh, Sophia, don't start. I can barely walk in heels, and tomorrow I have to smile and act normal. That's never going to happen, Sophia said, already grabbing her phone. This is going viral. Maria rested her forehead on her dinner tray. What have I done with my life? And yet, deep down, she was excited, very excited. The next morning, Maria woke up with her heart racing, like she was about to run a marathon in high heels. She looked at herself in the mirror and told herself, you will not faint, you will not trip, you will not mistake a waiter for an investor, and, for the love of your reputation, you will not sleep in bathtubs today. She took a deep breath. She had been through a lot in life, but none of it involved heels, executive brunches, or words like networking. She put on the only business-appropriate outfit she could borrow from Sophia, a baby pink blazer that made her look like a toddler lawyer. Her hair was pulled into an elegant bun, or at least that was the idea. In reality, it looked like a carefully arranged bird's nest. At the hotel, she went straight to Victor's office, but before knocking, she checked her breath, straightened her posture, and practiced her professional, yet approachable, but slightly mysterious smile. What she didn't expect was to open the door and find Victor standing there, wearing only dress pants, buttoning up his shirt. She froze. Oh my! She yelped, spinning around so fast she nearly broke her neck. Victor, unfazed, calmly finished buttoning the last button. Like this was just another day at the office. You're early, he said, as if standing half-dressed in his office was part of normal business protocol. I didn't know. There was no sign saying in the middle of dressing, I'm new here. I didn't mean to see anything. I swear. She blurted out, eyes shut, as if that would erase the memory. You can turn around now. I'm dressed. She turned back, face burning. This will not happen again, I swear, unless you forget your shirt again, which I really hope doesn't happen. Victor picked up an envelope from his desk and handed it to her. Today is the brunch for the spa launch. We need to talk to investors, VIP clients, and the press. Your job? Get me out of awkward situations and keep me sane. Maria took the envelope and let out a nervous laugh. And what if I'm the awkward situation? So it's going to be an authentic debut, he replied with that little smirk that made people want to either laugh or punch him. A few minutes later, Maria stepped into the event hall like someone invading a crystal castle. Everything was so bright, huge chandeliers, crystal glasses, tables full of exotic fruits, and a violinist playing a slow tune that sounded straight out of an Oscar-winning movie. She felt a shiver run down her spine. Calm down, Maria. Just smile, stay close to the boss, and don't break anything expensive, she whispered to herself. Victor walked in right behind her. now in full CEO mode, impeccable suit, neatly styled hair, neutral expression. Breathe, and remember, if I get cornered by someone annoying, you save me. Be creative. And if I get cornered, improvise, you're good at that. She laughed. Is that a compliment or a warning? Both. The first test came quickly. A German investor with a serious mustache and an accent straight out of an old movie. Mr. Torres, we need to discuss the future of spa globalization, he began, grabbing Victor by the arm. Victor shot Maria a quick look. Help now. She stepped forward with an exaggerated smile and said, Excuse me, sir, but the chef urgently needs your opinion on the new cucumber and mint juice recipe. It's a disaster, a complete ice-cold catastrophe. Victor masked his surprise, cleared his throat, and said, Yes, of course, priorities. He walked away with Maria, leaving the investor lost in the middle of the exotic fruit display. Cucumber and mint juice? It was the best I could come up with in 2 seconds. Worst excuse ever, top 5, but effective. The second challenge came when a wealthy woman, wearing a pearl necklace bigger than Maria's head, approached with a fake smile. Mr. Torres, what a wonderful surprise. Do you still remember my daughter Beatrice's wedding? Victor gave a polite nod. From what Maria gathered, Beatrice was the ex-fiancée who had run off with her personal trainer. Maria immediately sensed danger. This woman spoke like someone who enjoyed humiliating others in public. And you are? The woman asked, looking at Maria as if she were a free sample in a jewelry store. Maria stepped forward, extended her hand, and smiled. Mr. Torres's personal nurse. I'm here to prevent nervous breakdowns caused by awkward conversations with former mothers-in-law. The woman blinked in shock for a second, then let out a stiff little laugh. Oh, how witty. I try. Life's too short to be unpleasant on purpose. Victor coughed discreetly to hide his laughter. Come on, Maria. We need to check the cheese table. As they walked away, he whispered, A nurse? Better than babysitter for a socially anxious millionaire. Effective again. I'm getting the hang of it. The afternoon continued with forced small talk, glasses of juice that probably cost as much as Maria's rent, and conversations she barely understood. But little by little, she realized she was doing well better than she expected. She improvised, rescued Victor from boring discussions, and even managed to make him smile genuinely. Most importantly, she was actually having fun until the press conference started. Victor stepped onto a small stage to welcome the guests. Maria stood beside him, pretending to be just another assistant, not an ex-cleaning lady who once fell asleep in the bathtub of the man now running a hotel empire. Good afternoon, Victor said into the microphone. It's a pleasure to have you all at this special event. Our new spa was designed to offer guests a luxurious and revitalizing experience. And I'd like to take a moment to thank the team, especially someone who recently surprised me in a rather unexpected way. Maria froze. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Maria Lopez, my new personal assistant. The audience clapped. Some smiled, others whispered, and Maria froze. Sensing the panic in her eyes, Victor added, Before anyone starts making up stories, let me clarify. No, she wasn't hired because she slept in my bathtub, though she is the first person to do so and survive. Laughter. Maria turned bright red but smiled a genuine smile, the kind that comes from finally being seen and accepted. When the event ended, Victor pulled her aside. Sorry for the surprise. I still don't know if I should punch you or hug you. Do both, just wait until after work. Maria laughed, relieved. For the record, I'm actually enjoying this being my assistant, being more than just the person who cleans up after everyone. Victor looked at her for a moment. Then he said, You are so much more than that, Maria. She swallowed hard. Thank you. Really. That night, she got home, took off her pink blazer, threw herself onto the couch, and picked up her phone. A message from Victor, mission accomplished. More to come tomorrow, what? And it promises to be even more fun. Maria smiled. She was still holding her phone, reading the message for the third time, mission accomplished. More to come tomorrow, and it promises to be even more fun. She dropped the phone on the couch and covered her face with her hands. I survived a press conference with CEOs, triple-digit sushi, and a public joke about my bathtub nap, and I still get a more to come tomorrow. For the first time, she didn't feel like just a spectator in her own life. She was inside the story, messy, improbable, but real. She stared at the ceiling as if it had an answer. Maria, dear, what have you gotten yourself into? The next morning, She arrived at the hotel right at 8. Oh, nothing short of a miracle. Considering the bus broke down, she almost lost a shoe at the curb, and someone in the elevator mistook her for a guest. She walked into Victor's office with a slight smile, but he wasn't there. Instead, there was an envelope with her name written by hand. "Well, this doesn't look suspicious at all," she murmured, already opening it. Inside, a short note. "Today, I want you to see something with me. Dress comfortably, no heels or pink blazer. V." She frowned. "Comfortable? That sounds like a trap. And what do you mean, no pink blazer? I was rocking that looked like a marshmallow at a condo meeting." But still, she rushed to change. She picked dark jeans, a simple white shirt, and sneakers, the survival trio for someone with no clue what's ahead. When she returned, she found Victor waiting in the lobby, wearing a rolled-up sleeve shirt and a mysterious expression. "Good morning," he said, eyeing her outfit. "Much better. I feel like a spy with no mission." "Excellent, because that's exactly what you are today." She followed him to the car, filled with more questions than answers. "Are you going to tell me where we're going?" "No." "And I'm supposed to be okay with that?" "Yes." "All right then. If I disappear, tell my sister she can have my portable charger." Victor chuckled. About 40 minutes later, the car stopped in front of a small old building with a simple facade, nothing like the places Victor usually went. "Where are we?" she asked as she stepped out. "Just come with me." She followed him to the 3rd floor, where he stopped in front of a gray door with peeling paint. "Do you recognize it?" She looked around and widened her eyes. "Wait, this is..." Victor nodded. "This is where your sister takes her prep course." Maria froze. "How do you know that?" "I have resources, and I listen carefully." Her heart pounded. "Did you interfere in my sister's life?" "No. I just paid attention and did what needed to be done." He handed her an envelope. Maria opened it. It was a receipt for the full semester's tuition under Isabella Lopez's name, payment completed, signature, V. Torres. She stared at him, stunned. You paid for my sister's course?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because you worked twice as hard to give her what you never had, and that tells me everything I need to know about who you are." Maria swallowed hard. "I didn't ask for this. I know. That's why I did it." She leaned against the wall, trying to process it all. "This is big, Victor. Really big. It's not charity. It's acknowledgment. But you barely know me. I know enough to know you're one of a kind." She lowered her head, fidgeting with her fingers. "When my mom got sick, I was just a teenager. I dropped out of school to take care of her. My dad had been gone for years. When she passed, it was just me and Isabella. I worked every job I could find, cleaning, bakery counter, handing out flyers, and every cent I earned went to her. Because if she has a chance to be someone, then it was all worth it." Victor was silent for a few moments. Then he took a step closer. "What was your dream?" Maria smiled, but it was a sad smile. "To be a nurse. I always wanted to take care of people, maybe because of my mom. I kept thinking if I had known more, maybe I could have helped more. But life didn't let me. There's still time. Not for me. Maria, you take care of people every day, with humor, with kindness. You're already a nurse at heart. All that's missing is the diploma." She chuckled, her eyes misty. "If you say one more nice thing, I'll start crying right here. And I didn't bring tissues." "You can cry, but after that, we're getting a pastel." "A what?" "That's what you do after big emotions, you eat a pastel." She laughed louder. "Victor Torres, you are one unusual CEO, and you are one impossible assistant." After grabbing a quick bite at a small diner, Maria felt lighter. For the first time in years, she wasn't carrying the weight of the world on her own. But the day still had a surprise in store. When they returned to the hotel, Victor got an urgent call and had to head upstairs for a video conference. He asked her to wait in the lobby, just for half an hour. Maria sat there, watching the guests come and go, the expensive luggage, the conversations in different languages. It was a whole different world. And then, without meaning to, she heard her name. Maria Lopez, the girl he introduced at the press conference. It was the voice of one of the receptionists, the blonde with pin-straight hair, a sharp smile, and a not-so-friendly gaze, Jessica. They say she used to work in housekeeping, slept in the CEO's bathtub, and now she's his personal assistant. "I'd call that a lucky break, with a little bit of flirting," Jessica said, dripping with sarcasm. The other employee, Olivia, chuckled. "Seriously, this sounds like a streaming show." Maria took a deep breath, stood up, and walked toward them. "Hey, ladies, Everything okay? Jessica turned pale. Oh, hi, Maria. I didn't realize you were so close. Uh-huh. Very close, like spy mode close. Jessica scrambled to recover. Look, it wasn't personal. We were just talking. About me, like I'm some tabloid story. Olivia opened her mouth, then closed it again. Nothing came out. Maria smiled. Relax. I've heard worse. Someone once said, I use disinfectant as perfume. The two of them let out nervous laughs. Maria leaned in slightly. But just as a friendly tip, don't underestimate me. Life has a funny way of turning tables, and I tend to be in the wrong place at the right time. She gave them a wink, turned around, and walked away. By the time she reached the office, Victor was still on the phone, but he noticed her out of the corner of his eye and wrapped up quickly. Everything okay? Gossip, judgmental stares, and a touch of sarcasm, the fame package. Want to switch jobs and give up my chance to keep annoying you with random comments? Never. Victor chuckled. Tomorrow, we have a dinner with sponsors. Are you coming? If they serve pastries as appetizers, maybe. There will be wine. You've convinced me. That night, Maria lay in bed with her mind racing. It wasn't just about the new job, it was about being seen, being recognized, being respected. She stared at the ceiling and thought, maybe I don't have to be a nurse to take care of people. Maybe I'm already doing it in my own way. And she smiled, because even without a degree, she was changing lives, including her own. Maria stared at her reflection in the hotel's restroom mirror, as if she were facing a jury. You just need to look professional, confident, hide the nerves, and don't mistake white wine for coconut water this time, she told herself. Tonight's sponsored dinner was her second big event. The first had been a mix of chaos and charm cucumber juice, sarcastic socialites, and an unexpected press conference. But now this was a whole different level. Victor had said, tonight, you'll meet the heart of our empire. The sponsors are demanding, influential, and incredibly boring. That's why I need you. So here she was, in a borrowed burgundy dress this time from her upstairs neighbor, her hair in a decent bun, and a tiny clutch that held exactly three things: her phone, lipstick, and dignity, though there was plenty of room left for the last one. As she left the restroom and walked toward the private dining room, she felt her heels wobble, but her stride was steady, her expression perfectly rehearsed. I'm amazing, and I'm totally not faking it. Victor was waiting near the entrance, dark gray suit, neatly trimmed stubble, and that effortless air of someone who was born wealthy. When he saw her, he paused for a second. You look elegant, professional, impressive, different. Maria raised an eyebrow. Was that a compliment? I'm still deciding. She smirked. I'm ready. What's the plan? Survive the sponsors, avoid awkward questions, and, if possible, escape before dessert. I've had a ginger mousse trauma since last year's dinner. Got it. And if someone starts telling a bad joke, you say there's an emergency and get me out. Can I say you have an allergy to small talk? Brilliant. Use that. The dining hall was a sea of white linen, candlelight, fine glassware, and polite but fake smiles. Maria recognized several faces from magazines and social media: business moguls, models, investors. They all seemed to know Victor, and they were all staring at her. The whispers started quietly. Is that the new assistant? Is she the one from the press conference? I heard she was a cleaner, now she's with the boss. Maria took a deep breath, kept her posture straight, her smile in place, and her head held high, or at least mostly. Remember, she whispered to herself, you're not here because you fell asleep in the bathtub. You're here because you woke up, wanting to change your life, and because fate has a sense of humor. Victor led her to the main table, where three important sponsors were waiting. Mr. Henderson, an older man with thick glasses and a deep voice. Mrs. Carter, an elegant woman who spoke as if she were always bored. And Ethan Brooks, the kind of guy who smiled too much and shook hands like he was trying to crush bones. Good evening, Victor said, his charm well rehearsed. Good evening, Mr. Torres. Mrs. Carter looked at Maria. And this is? Maria Lopez, my personal assistant, Victor replied before she could open her mouth. Maria extended a firm handshake. Nice to meet you. And, just to be clear, I'm not a nurse, a nutritionist, a relative, or a fictional character. A few quiet chuckles around the table. Victor seemed pleased. The dinner continued with sophisticated appetizers and conversations about numbers, projections, investments, and to Maria's absolute boredom, Slovenian artisanal wine prices. Still, she carried out her mission flawlessly. She smiled, asked smart questions when needed, kept Victor from getting trapped in endless debates, and even discreetly suggested that the waiter remove the scallop dish before someone could comment that it was a little overcooked. "I don't know how I survived these events without you," Victor murmured, leaning toward her. "Probably more bored and more battered." True, but with less public embarrassment. Also true. Everything was going smoothly until she showed up. Vanessa, a tight black dress, stiletto heels, red hair cascading in waves, and a perfume that announced her presence before she even arrived. Maria saw her first, and her immediate instinct was to turn her back and pretend she urgently needed to leave the country. But it was too late. "Victor," Vanessa said, her smile sharp. Victor turned, and the slight smile on his face vanished. "Vanessa?" Maria straightened in her chair. "I didn't know you'd be here," Vanessa said, looking Maria up and down. "And you brought company?" Victor took a deep breath. "Vanessa, this is Maria Lopez, my assistant." "Ah, of course," the redhead replied, extending her cold fingers. "Assistant." Maria shook her hand firmly. "That's right, not to be confused with decorative." Vanessa smiled. "Of course. It's always nice to see new hires with multiple skills." Maria kept smiling, but inside she was screaming, "Hold me back, or I'll bite her." "And you?" she asked. "Still in the business of scheming, or did you change careers?" Victor cleared his throat. "Ladies, sorry," Maria said. "Just trying to learn how to behave among the big fish." "Some fish have thorns," Vanessa replied, still smiling. "And some just swim in circles," Maria shot back, taking a sip of wine. The air was now as tense as the strap on her brand new heels. Vanessa left with class and venom. "It was a pleasure." "Good luck, dear." Maria responded with an ironic wave. "You too. Always nice to see characters come to life." As Vanessa walked away, Victor looked at Maria, unable to hide his amusement. "You just won the sharpest comeback contest at a gala dinner. Was that a compliment?" "It was almost a marriage proposal." Maria laughed, but her expression quickly grew serious. "You were something with her, weren't you?" Victor hesitated for a second. "We had a brief relationship before the hotel expanded, before everything. And now? Now she represents competing investors and loves showing up at my events, especially when she knows I'm doing well." Maria nodded, looking away. "Just wanted to know where I stand, so I don't slip into an emotional bathtub again." "Maria, it's fine. You don't have to explain. I'm just the assistant, remember?" Victor gently held her arm. "You are much more than that. And if you haven't realized it yet, you will soon." Maria swallowed hard and took a deep breath. "Okay. But if I become a meme tomorrow, will you help me deal with it? I'll pay to shut down the internet in the whole country." She laughed, feeling lighter. When the dinner ended, Maria walked down the hotel hallway, heels in hand and soul exhausted. Victor walked beside her, hands in his pockets. "You know, you surprise me more than anyone I've ever worked with," he said. "That's because you've never had an intern with OCD and a talent for beatboxing," she replied. Victor stopped. "Thank you for tonight. For keeping you in check, or for not stabbing Vanessa with a fork." "Both." She smiled, but something unspoken lingered in the air. "Do you still think about her?" she asked quietly. "Not like before. Vanessa is the kind of person who likes to win, and she doesn't care who she steps on in the process. And me?" Victor took a step closer. "You're the kind of person who lifts people up, even when you're on your knees yourself." Maria fell silent. Was that a compliment? It was almost another marriage proposal. She smiled, and this time she didn't even try to hide it. That night, already home, lying on her bed with her dress still halfway on, Maria stared at the ceiling once again. But this time, her thoughts were different. She was starting to feel something more than admiration, more than respect, something that could either complicate everything or change everything. And for the first time, she wasn't afraid of it, just curious, and feeling a pleasant flutter in her stomach. Maria's phone buzzed non-stop. Still lying down, she lazily reached for it on her nightstand and squinted at the screen. Lots of messages, group chats, notifications. One of them was from Sophia. "Girl, have you seen what they're saying about you?" Maria frowned, still trying to wake up. This never starts well. She opened the group chat, "United Cleaners will never be defeated," and saw the screenshot. It was a headline from a gossip page with nearly 300,000 followers. Housekeeper becomes CEOs. Assistant after falling asleep in presidential suite. Sources say romance on the way. The photo was a terrible montage of her holding a wine glass next to Victor, taken at some event, an arrow pointing to his slightly inclined arm with the caption "Suspicious touch." "Oh my God," Maria shouted, sitting up as if the mattress had turned into a hot plate. Notifications kept coming. "Is it true that you and Mr. Torres? Girl, you're everywhere, even in the laundry group. I'm rooting for you. Way to go, boss." Maria ran her hands over her face. "Okay, stay calm. It's probably just a silly article. It'll blow over. People forget these things in 2 days." But she knew it wouldn't be that simple. At the hotel, the atmosphere was strange. Employees whispered in the hallways. Some greeted her with curious looks, while others avoided eye contact. In the staff break room, there was only one topic: Maria. She walked past, pretending not to hear. When she arrived at the office, Victor was already waiting, wearing a suit, seated at his desk, phone in hand, his expression serious. As soon as he saw her, he set the phone aside. "Good morning." "Good morning," she replied with a half smile. "So, you saw it?" "I did." Silence. And she asked, "I'm handling it." "Are you suing someone?" "I already spoke with legal. We'll find out who leaked the photo and who made up the story." "But, Victor, it's not exactly a lie. I really did fall asleep in the bathtub. You fell asleep from exhaustion, not to seduce anyone. And you became my assistant because you're talented, not for ridiculous reasons." She took a deep breath and sat down. "I just don't want to be a joke, not for my sister, not for myself." Victor looked directly at her. "I didn't want that either, and you won't be. I promise." A few hours later, the rumor had spread to the hotel lobby. A couple of guests whispered about it while waiting for the elevator. "It's her, right? The bathtub girl? Looks like it. And now she's his assistant. Quick, huh?" Maria pretended not to hear, pressing the elevator buttons like she was trying to launch a rocket. She spent the whole afternoon avoiding eye contact, ignoring stares, and trying to focus on work, but it felt like swimming against the tide. At lunchtime, she sat at a table in the corner when Clara, one of the laundry staff, approached. Maria thought, "Here we go. Mind if I sit?" "Of course not." Clara sat down hesitantly. "Look, I just wanted to say you don't have to feel bad, okay? Some people only talk because they wish they were in your place." Maria sighed. "Thanks, Clara, but it's not as easy as it looks. I know. But listen, my sister is a waitress at a smaller hotel, and when she heard about this, she said, finally, someone like us ended up where they never let us be. So, thank you." Maria felt a lump in her throat. Wow, that was unexpected. Clara gave her a warm smile. "We're rooting for you." But not everyone was. At the front desk, Jessica, with her flawless hair and snake-in-heels attitude, was furiously typing on her phone while glancing toward Maria. "I bet this will end in either a firing or a promotion if she keeps smiling at him like that." Olivia rolled her eyes. "You're just jealous because Victor never even asked you to bring him coffee. I don't need to get attention by falling asleep in bathtubs. And you never will because he likes real people, not high-heeled robots." Jessica's face soured. "This is going to blow up, and when it does, let's see who cleans up the mess." And it did. By late afternoon, Maria got a message from Victor. "I need to see you. Conference room 2 now." She stood up immediately, her stomach twisting. When she entered the room, she found Victor and the hotel's legal advisor, Daniel Rivera, a bald man with thin glasses and a permanently worried expression. "Miss Lopez," Daniel said politely, "we have a problem." "Just one?" Victor handed her a tablet with a new headline, "Scandal at the Hotel. CEO favors employee he's in a relationship with." "Oh no," Maria murmured. "They're saying you were only promoted because of my personal interest and that it compromises internal decisions. That's ridiculous." "I know, but that's not what the sponsors are saying." Maria's eyes widened. "The sponsors?" Victor nodded. "Some are demanding a statement from me. Others are threatening to pull their support if I don't take action." "What kind of action?" Daniel answered, "The most recommended course would be for Miss Lopez to take a temporary leave until the situation is cleared up." Maria felt a chill run down her spine. "You want to remove me?" Victor stepped forward. "That's not what I want, but it's what they expect. And if I push back now, I could lose contracts, partnerships, years of support." Maria stayed silent. "So that's it? I go back to cleaning?" No, Victor said firmly. If you want, you can take a few days. Go home. Take a break, but your position is secure with me. Maria looked at him. His eyes were intense, but the pain was real. I need to think. She walked out without another word. In the locker room, Sophia showed up out of nowhere. Hey girl. Sophia, how did you get in here? I have my ways. The morning shift receptionist owes me a favor since I covered for her once. Maria hugged her. For the first time that day, she let herself break a little. I'm being swallowed up by gossip. That's because you're shining too bright, and people who live in the dark can't handle that kind of light. Sophia, I'm an assistant, not some symbol of resilience. Oh, but you are. You know why? Because even when you were scared, you stayed. Even when you felt ashamed, you held your head high. And even while being judged, you never changed who you are. Maria smiled, touched. That was beautiful, almost poetic. I wrote it on the back of a cookie package yesterday. That night, Maria was ready to leave when she found Victor in the lobby. He was alone, hands in his pockets. Going home? He asked. Yeah, I'm done for today. Do you need a ride? No. Silence. Maria, I'm sorry, he said. She looked at him. You're not the one who should be apologizing. The world should, but it won't, will it? Unfortunately, no. So we learned to walk with our heads up anyway. Victor nodded. I'll fix this mess, I promise. She gave a small smile. This time, let me clean it up. On the bus ride home, Maria stared out the window. The city looked huge, but for the first time, she didn't feel small, just in progress. And despite everything, she knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of something stronger, harder, more real. And she was ready. The next morning arrived before Maria could get any sleep. She had spent the whole night tossing and turning, her face buried in the pillow, thoughts screaming over each other. You've become a joke. No matter what you do, they'll always think you don't belong. Maybe it's better to disappear before it gets worse. When the alarm went off at 6, Maria wanted to throw it out the window. Instead, she just slapped it hard and sat up, her hair looking like a modern sculpture of stress. Good morning, public humiliation. Let's shine. She got dressed in silence, jeans, a simple black t-shirt, comfortable sneakers. Today, she didn't want to look like an assistant or a professional. She just wanted to be invisible. But that was becoming more impossible by the day. When she arrived at the hotel, she noticed the stares were even stronger. Some employees greeted her with those awkward smiles, the kind that said, I'm on your side, but I also want to hear all the gossip. Others didn't even try to hide the judgment in their eyes. She ignored them. The elevator took longer than usual. Inside, she found Jessica and Olivia. So, you came back? Jessica said, her voice as sweet as pure lemon. Maria just stared at the button for the 10th floor. After everything that happened, I thought you'd take a forced vacation, Jessica added with a little laugh. I'm still here, Jessica, but if you'd like, I can arrange a forced vacation for you if you keep talking in that horror movie voice. Olivia choked, trying not to laugh. Jessica huffed. The elevator doors opened. Maria stepped out first, head held high, but inside, the anxiety was eating her alive. Victor wasn't in his office when she arrived. There was only a note on the desk. Today, we have a meeting with all managers and internal sponsors. Press conference at 5:00 p.m. Meet me in the main hall. Maria sat in his chair and spun it slowly, staring at the ceiling. A press conference again? What's next? A reality show. She sighed, closed her eyes for a moment, and tried to breathe deeply. But that feeling of not belonging was coming back full force. In the middle of the afternoon, Maria decided to do something she had been avoiding for weeks, visiting the floor where the cleaning staff still worked. She went up and found Clara, the laundry girl, neatly folding sheets. Maria, Clara said, surprised. Wow, I thought you had forgotten about us. Me? Never. I just got caught up in a whirlwind of sushi, high heels, and gossip. Clara laughed. So how are you? Not great. Feels like every time I try to fit in, the world says, no thanks. Clara paused for a moment, then said, we're all rooting for you, you know. Because if you make it, it feels like everyone who scrubs bathrooms, folds laundry, and works behind the scenes can make it too. Maria swallowed hard. Thank you. Really. Don't let those spoiled people break you, Maria. They have no idea how strong you are. She smiled. But deep down, she knew that sometimes even she didn't realize her own strength. At exactly 5:00 p.m., Maria walked into the main hall. There was a small stage with microphones, rows of chairs, and a filming crew from the hotel. Victor was already there, talking to the marketing director, Liam Carter, and the legal advisor, Daniel Rivera. When he saw Maria, Victor immediately walked over. "I'm glad you came. I still don't understand what this is." "You will." He pointed to the front row and asked her to sit there. She eyed him suspiciously. "Victor, what are you up to? Just trust me." She sat down, but her heartbeat was so loud, it felt like it echoed through the room. Minutes later, the guests started arriving. Managers, sponsors, shareholders, and a few familiar faces from high society. And of course, Vanessa. She wore a white blazer and high heels, clearly aware she would be noticed. She walked past Maria without saying a word but flashed that smirk that said, "You're going to fall, you just don't know when." Maria pretended not to notice. Victor stepped onto the stage, took the microphone, and took a deep breath. "Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming on such short notice. This emergency meeting was called for one reason only, to put an end, once and for all, to the rumors surrounding my personal assistant, Maria Lopez." Maria froze in her chair. A murmur spread through the room. Victor continued, "In the past 48 hours, there has been speculation online that Miss Lopez was promoted for personal reasons based on assumptions, lies, and a single photo taken out of context." More murmuring, some laughter. "So let me be clear. Maria Lopez is my assistant because she is the most qualified person for the job. And no, this has absolutely nothing to do with favors, romantic interest, or any other kind of relationship." Maria's eyes widened. "What?" Victor went on. "If anyone here believes that a person's competence is measured by where they come from rather than the quality of their work, you're in the wrong place." Some of the audience murmured in agreement. Others remained silent. Maria started at this hotel cleaning bathrooms. She once fell asleep in a bathtub after a 15-hour shift. And even then, when she woke up, she apologized and went right back to work. Since then, she has pulled me out of embarrassing situations, stood up to powerful people, and done more for this hotel than some who have been here for years. Liam, the marketing director, nodded subtly. Victor finished. "I'm not letting her go. I'm not apologizing. And if anyone wants to reconsider their partnership with this hotel because of that," the doors open. Silence. Then, from the back of the room, a male voice spoke up. "I support Miss Lopez staying." It was Mr. Carter, one of the hotel's longtime sponsors. Soon, others started murmuring their agreement. Clara, who had been sitting quietly in the back, cheered. "That's right." Maria looked at Victor, unsure whether to laugh, cry, or run up and hug him in front of everyone. Victor looked straight at her, without a microphone, and simply said, "Thank you for not giving up." She nodded, and smiled a smile full of everything. Gratitude, relief, and something more, something that grew every time he did. What no one else had ever done for her defend her. At the end of the event, as the hall was emptying out, Maria walked up to him. "You're crazy. I've been told that before. You just picked a huge fight for me." "No, with you, not for you." She crossed her arms. "You do know this will have consequences, right? I'm used to those." Silence. Maria took a deep breath. "Thank you." Victor stepped closer. "Do you understand now why I insisted on keeping you here?" "Yes, but it still feels surreal." "Good. Let it stay that way." "Oh, and just so you know," she added, "Vanessa nearly exploded with rage while you were speaking." Victor smirked. That was just a bonus. That night, Maria went home with her head in the clouds. When she arrived, she found her sister Isabella studying in the living room. "Hey," Maria said, taking off her shoes. "How was your class?" "Tiring, but good." "My biology teacher is crazy. He said he's going to teach genetics using playing cards. That's innovative. And you? How was your day?" Maria smiled. "The best and the craziest, but the best." Isabella watched her for a few seconds. "You like him, don't you?" Maria's eyes widened. "Who? Your boss? Me? Victor? No way. He's annoying and bossy, and sometimes it feels like he can read my mind. So, that's a yes." Maria sighed. "Maybe. But he's my boss, and that world isn't mine. Not yet." Maria smiled, thoughtful. Not yet. That night, before falling asleep, Maria got a message. "Victor, you're amazing. Thank you for staying." She replied, "If you keep complimenting me like this, I'm going to start charging emotional overtime. I pay in compliments and coffee. Tomorrow, 8:00 a.m. I'll be there ready for another elegant scandal. And just like that, she fell asleep with a smile on her face, because now she knew, no matter what people said, she belonged, and no one was going to take that away from her. Maria sat at Victor's office desk, holding a cup of coffee that was still warm, but had already lost half its flavor, or maybe it was just her brain struggling to process everything that had happened in the past few days. She stared at the computer screen, where an email titled Executive Presentation, New Spa Complex Launch blinked, waiting to be finished. But her mind was miles away. You're amazing. Thank you for staying. Victor's message from the night before kept replaying in her head. It wasn't about the words, it was the way he spoke, the way he wrote, the way he looked at her, as if he had seen parts of her that even she had forgotten existed. She let out a sigh and slowly spun in the swivel chair. That's when Victor walked in. His dress shirt sleeves were rolled up to his forearms. His hair was slightly tousled, and he had a phone pressed to his ear. Yes, Liam, no problem. I'll call you as soon as the layout is finalized, he said before hanging up and turning to her. Good morning. Maria raised her cup and nodded. So. Didn't sleep well? I slept under the weight of 1,000 judgmental stares, but other than that, all good. Victor pulled out a chair and sat across from her, watching her closely. You're still thinking about what happened? No, now I'm thinking about what will happen when I mess up again, because with my luck, I'll probably slip on a polished floor on live television. He chuckled. You handled everything better than a lot of people who have worked with me for years. You say that because you've never seen me cry over a documentary about an abandoned penguin. Victor leaned forward, resting his arms on the desk. Maria, can I ask you something? Sure, but if it's about what happened yesterday, I'll only answer if it comes with a scoop of ice cream. It's about you, she raised an eyebrow. Me? What do you want? Maria blinked. Huh? What do you mean? In life, in your future, what do you want? Besides surviving the corporate world and avoiding becoming an internet meme. She was silent for a few seconds. I want my sister to go to college. I want her to never have to work 14-hour shifts just to pay rent. I want her to have a good bed, a good life, and never have to scrub rich people's sinks with steel wool. Victor nodded with a small smile. And you? She hesitated. I'd like to study maybe nursing. Medicine is too far out of reach, but taking care of people, I've always liked that. But I don't know if it's too late. It's never too late. Maria looked away. Easy for you to say when you have an empire at your fingertips. Victor was silent for a moment. Then he stood up. Come with me. What? Now? Victor, I'm wearing sneakers and a coffee-stained shirt. This feels like the start of an emotional kidnapping. Trust me. Minutes later, they were in the hotel parking lot, and Victor unlocked a car different from the one he usually used. A regular black sedan. No driver today, just us, he said. Maria got in, still skeptical. If we end up in an open field with horses and romantic music, I swear I'm running away. Victor laughed. Relax. Nothing that cheesy. Good, because I didn't bring bug spray. They drove for a few blocks until they stopped in front of a modest-looking building with a glass facade and signs still being installed. Maria read, Project Esperanza, Community Support Center. She looked at Victor, confused. What is this? Come in. She followed him inside. There were spacious rooms, some still under renovation with furniture being assembled. Boxes of school supplies, brand new computers, and a small library in the process of being organized. This is my new project, Victor explained. A support center for families in vulnerable situations classes, medical support, workshops, a community dining hall. Maria looked around in silence, taking in every detail. And what does this have to do with me? Victor stopped in front of one of the rooms, where a plaque was waiting to be mounted. Maria Lopez. Room Training in Dreams. She froze. This is your joking, right? This room will offer scholarships and basic training for young adults who want a second chance. And it's named after you, because you inspired it. Maria covered her mouth, her eyes welling up. Victor, I got the idea after our conversation about nursing. You said you wished you could have helped your mom more, and I thought maybe you still can, starting here. She took a deep breath. This is too big. It's the least you deserve. They stood in silence, the kind that doesn't feel heavy but fills the space. A silence that said everything. Victor looked into her eyes. You changed me, Maria, ever since that day in the bathtub. She let out a nervous laugh. Tonight, I still think I should have been fired on the spot. Good thing you weren't. She took a step closer. "Victor, if you kiss me now, it's your fault." He smirked. "And if I say it's your fault, then I'll accept it, because I want to too." And then, without another word, he gently pulled her in by the waist and kissed her. It was soft, unhurried, but full of everything they had been holding back for too long: the doubts, the jokes, the looks, the silences. It all fell into place in that moment. When they pulled away, she kept her eyes closed for a second. "Okay, that was unexpectedly good, better than a pastry." "Almost." They both laughed. "Well, now we have a problem," Maria said. "Why?" "Because now I'm going to have to kiss you again someday. Let's put it on the calendar schedule at after my next existential crisis." Already reserved. Back at the hotel, Maria's mind was still spinning the kiss, the community center, the room with her name on it. It was all too much, and yet it felt right. But of course, the universe never lets things stay calm for long. She was in the elevator when she ran into Vanessa, of course. Well, if it isn't the celebrity of the week," Vanessa said, stepping into the elevator with a smug smile. Maria kept her expression neutral. "Vanessa, what an almost sincere pleasure. I hear Victor has a new hobby, building shelters and handing out kisses. And I hear you've been trying to understand the concept of humility. How's that going?" Vanessa laughed. "You know this won't last, right? The elevator? I hope so. We still have 4 more floors." "No, your story, this you and him. It's not real, just charity disguised as romance." Maria took a deep breath. "You know what the difference between us is? Oh, I can't wait to hear. You want to win. I just want to live." The elevator arrived. Maria stepped out first. "Good luck with that, Vanessa. You'll need it more." But Maria didn't look back, because, for the first time, she wasn't afraid anymore. That night at home, Isabella was waiting for her with the table set. "I made frozen lasagna, nothing more gourmet than that. I kissed Victor." Isabella nearly dropped her fork. "You did what?" It was spontaneous and intense, but beautiful. "Oh my God, is this serious?" Maria sat down, smiling. "I think so." "And now?" Maria looked up at the ceiling, thoughtful. "Now I figure out what it's like to experience something I never thought I could." Isabella smiled. "And here I was thinking my test score was the big news of the day." They both laughed, and Maria knew something was really changing, not outside, but inside. The morning after the kiss, Maria woke up with her heart racing, and a silly smile stuck on her face, a smile. She tried to hide, failed, tried again, and failed again. "Okay, Lopez," she said to the mirror. "You kissed your boss, a billionaire CEO. Now what? Sing in the hallway? Make a declaration over breakfast? Live out a Taylor Swift music video?" She fanned herself with the lid of her hairbrush and laughed alone. But soon, the nervousness crept in. What if it had just been a moment, a whim? What if Victor woke up today and simply regretted it? Taking a deep breath, she dressed as neutrally as possible. No bold lipstick, no sweet perfume. Today's plan, casual, controlled, composed, or at least pretend to be. When she arrived at the hotel, everything seemed normal: people in the lobby, coffee being served, conversations about reservations and checkouts. But when Maria stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for the 10th floor, she felt her heart race. She didn't know how to face Victor after the night before, but he wasn't in the office or anywhere. Strange. She checked her phone, no messages, no calls. Maybe he's in a meeting or running away to Alaska. Around 10:00 a.m., Maria went to the hotel restaurant to take care of something with the manager. As she passed through the main hall, she noticed the team setting up for next week's event. That's when she heard 2 familiar voices, Victor and Vanessa, behind a wooden partition. They stood facing each other, speaking in low but intense tones. "Victor, you're losing yourself," Vanessa said. "This is none of your business," he replied, visibly irritated. "Are you in love with her? With an employee? With someone who will never understand this world? Don't you dare talk about her like that. I'm just saying what everyone already thinks. You may be brilliant in business, but when it comes to the heart, you've always had terrible taste." Silence. "Maria is different, and I don't owe you an explanation." Maria felt her stomach sink. She instinctively took a step back, accidentally bumping into a decorative column, which wobbled slightly. Victor stopped talking. Both turned toward the sound. Maria quickly turned away and left before they could see her, or at least she wanted to believe they hadn't. Back in the office, she sat at her desk, staring at the computer, but she didn't type a single word. Her mind was spinning. Are you in love with her? That question kept replaying over and over. But more than the words, it was the tone, the context, the doubt. Someone who will never understand this world. The pain didn't come from what Vanessa had said, but from the fact that Victor hadn't denied it. What if it was true? What if, no matter how hard he tried, they really were from two different worlds? She tried to focus on the report. She reviewed the numbers 3 times, but nothing made sense. So she stood up, grabbed her bag, and headed to the cafe across the street. She needed air. Victor didn't show up at the office until afternoon. He immediately looked for Maria, but all he found was her bag on the chair and an abandoned coffee cup. He checked his phone. No messages from her. A strange unease settled in, as if something was out of place. He picked up his phone and called. "Maria?" "Hi," she answered, her voice low. "Where are you? Getting some air. Are you okay?" "I'm alive. That's a good start." Silence. "Can we talk?" "Not now." And she hung up. Victor stared at his phone for a few seconds. He knew she had heard everything. That night, Maria got home exhausted, but not physically. It was a deep emotional exhaustion, as if she had run a marathon inside her own mind. Isabella was on the couch, watching a movie. "Hey, I got pizza, your favorite, pepperoni with a cheese crust." Maria forced a smile. "Thanks." Isabella studied her sister's face. "Did something happen? Just a weird day." "Weird like, I spilled coffee on the CEO. Or I'm in love and don't know if I'm enough." Maria blinked. "Are you reading my mind now?" Isabella grabbed a slice of pizza. "I'm your sister. I have a poetic license to guess when you're internally freaking out." Maria sat next to her. "I heard Victor arguing with that Vanessa woman today. She basically said he was losing himself because of me, and he didn't deny it." Isabella chewed slowly. "But he didn't agree either, did he?" "Not in words. And what does your heart say?" "That maybe she's right, that this world isn't for me." Isabella turned and looked at her firmly. "Maria, you got here on your own. You made this guy care. You made an entire hotel stop to listen to you. Don't shrink yourself because of bitter people." Maria let out a deep sigh. "What if I step back a little, just to think? If it's for you, that's fine. But if it's out of fear, it's not worth it." Across the city, Victor stood on the hotel terrace, looking at the city lights, a glass of wine in his hand. He replayed every word from that morning in his mind, every reaction from Maria, every expression she tried to hide. He knew he had stepped into dangerous territory. He knew that for someone like her, every step in this world felt heavy. But he didn't want her to take that step alone. He picked up his phone, typed, deleted, typed again. "Victor, I wish I could go back to last night, not to change the kiss, just to tell you how much it meant." He waited. No reply. "Let's play a little game. For those who only read the comments, type ice cream in the comments. Only those who made it this far will understand." Now, let's get back to the story. The next morning, Maria arrived at the hotel early. She avoided the employee elevator and took the stairs, avoided the cafe, avoided the stairs. She was determined to be professional, cold, focused. When she entered the office, Victor was already there, standing by the window. She walked in, her heart beating in sync with the sound of her heels on the marble floor. "Good morning," she said with a light, neutral smile. "Good morning." Silence. "We have a meeting with the marketing team at 10:00. It's already on the schedule." Silence again. "About yesterday, no need," she said too quickly. "It's over. Not for me." She finally looked at him. "Victor, this world, it scares me. Not because of the people, but because it has rules I never learned. And because sometimes I feel like I'm just a temporary piece in a game I was never invited to play." He stepped closer. "You're not a piece, and you're not temporary. Then what am I?" Victor hesitated. "Someone who makes me want to change the whole game." Maria felt the ground shift beneath her feet. "You know this could end badly, right? Everything worthwhile is a little scary." She took a deep breath. "Then give me some time, as much as you need. Thank you." She turned to go to her desk, but before leaving, stopped at the door. "And just so you know, the kiss is still the best thing I've ever tasted." Victor smiled. "Good, because I still want to try dessert." She shook her head, unable to hold back a laugh. And in that moment, she realized their silence wasn't an ending, just a pause before the next step. Maria was finishing up a spreadsheet on her computer when Victor appeared at the office door. with 2 cups of coffee. He walked in slowly, as if he knew he was stepping into sensitive territory. "Truce?" he asked, holding out one of the cups. She hesitated for a second before taking it. "Apology coffee? New beginnings coffee?" Maria took a sip strong, hot, exactly what she needed at that moment. "I thought you were going to disappear," he said. "I thought about it, but then I remembered. Isabella still doesn't know how to use the microwave properly." Victor chuckled, relieved to see her joking again. "And also," Maria added, "it would be pretty cowardly to walk away now after everything. You're many things, Maria Lopez, but a coward is definitely not one of them." She looked at him, serious. "And you? Do you still think you can balance 2 worlds that don't mix?" "I don't want to balance them. I want to transform them." "That sounds nice, but in practice?" "In practice, I want you to come with me." "Where?" Victor pulled an envelope from the inside pocket of his blazer and placed it on the desk. Maria opened it. Inside were 2 plane tickets, Paris International Food Event. "Project Esperanza has been nominated for a Social Impact Award, and I want you to present it with the team." Her eyes widened. "Me? Present? In Paris? You know every detail. You were the one who inspired the idea. And besides, there are still too many people who need to see what a former janitor can do." Maria ran her fingers over the envelope carefully, as if it were made of glass. "And what do you expect to happen there?" "I expect you to be proud of who you've become, and I expect the world to see what I've seen since the day you woke me up snoring in a bathtub." Maria laughed, surprised at how possible it all seemed now. "And us?" she asked, her voice softer. Victor stepped closer. "We go together one step at a time. No pressure, no labels, just whatever is real." She bit her lip, thinking, "Okay, but only because I've always wanted to see the Eiffel Tower up close, and maybe you up close too." "Then it's a deal." She smiled. "Paris, me, you, an international event. What could go wrong?" Victor raised an eyebrow. "Maria, all right, don't finish that sentence. I've learned that asking that question is basically a curse." That night, Maria walked home with a quiet smile on her face. A light breeze played with her hair, and, for the first time in a long time, the world felt light. When she arrived, Isabella was waiting with a tub of ice cream and a look that demanded answers. "Talk. Now. Paris? What?" "Victor wants to take me to Paris, an event, presenting Project Esperanza." "I knew it," Isabella shouted. "This is a movie, Maria. You're living a movie. Calm down. There are still 2 chapters left for everything to go wrong." Isabella laughed. "And are you going?" Maria sighed. "I am. And not just for him, but for me, for Mom, for you, for everything I never thought was possible." Isabella hugged her tightly. "Go and make it count." Maria closed her eyes. She was ready, or almost. But with Victor by her side, maybe she didn't need to be completely ready. She just needed to go. Maria looked out the car window as they drove through the cobblestone streets, passing charming cafes, old facades, and the golden glow of the Eiffel Tower in the distance. It felt like being inside a movie, except this time she was the main character. "You're very quiet," Victor said beside her. "I'm just trying to understand how the girl who was cleaning bathrooms last week is now in Paris to present a project. That girl always had this potential. She just needed the right space to show it." Maria smiled. "Careful, you're starting to sound romantic." "A little romance never hurt anyone," he replied, his gaze making her heart race. They arrived at the boutique hotel where they would be staying. It was small, elegant and cozy, 2 rooms reserved, because Victor knew how to respect her boundaries. And Maria? She was grateful for that. After settling in, Maria went straight to the balcony. The view was breathtaking. The city was alive, and for a moment, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. That evening, the opening dinner brought together important names from the worlds of gastronomy, philanthropy, and European media. Maria wore a simple but elegant black dress, her hair in a loose bun. She looked around, trying to appear confident, even as her hands grew clammy. Victor approached. "Ready?" "More or less. I'm trying to pretend this is normal. The only unusual thing here is the price of this sparkling water. Relax, you just need to be yourself." She laughed. "That usually gets me into trouble. Only when you invade bathtubs." They laughed together. A few minutes later, they stood in front of the presentation panel. The event host called Victor to the stage, but instead of going alone, he held out his hand to Maria. "Come with me." She hesitated, took a deep breath, and stepped up under the bright stage lights. Maria faced the audience. Victor began, talking about Project Esperanza, its social impact, and the results. Then he passed the microphone to her. Maria swallowed hard. "Hi, I'm Maria, and I'm not an expert in anything. I don't have a degree. I didn't come from a wealthy family, and my story didn't start out beautiful. But today, I'm here because someone believed I had value. And this project is about that, giving value to those the world ignores." The audience was silent. I've cleaned bathrooms, folded bed sheets, taken 2 buses to get to work, and been judged more times than I can count. But now, I help others believe they can do more, that they deserve more, that they have the right to dream, even when the world tells them otherwise. Applause, lots of it. Victor looked at her as if he were seeing her fullest self for the first time. And Maria, for the first time, felt like her voice truly mattered. After the event, they walked back through the illuminated streets. "You are amazing," Victor said. "I almost threw up before going on stage. No one noticed." "Good." Silence. They stopped near the Seine River. The city's reflection shimmered on the water. "Victor," Maria began, "why did you choose me?" "Because you don't pretend, because you truly feel, and because you made me feel again." She lowered her gaze. "Sometimes, I still feel like I'm not enough for all of this." Victor took her hand. "Maria, you are more than enough. You are the kind of change this world needs." She looked at him, her eyes shining. "So, what if I want to keep changing the world, but with you by my side?" "I think that sounds like a wonderful idea. No scandals? We survived the first one. We can handle the rest. And what if I mess up again? Then we'll laugh again." She smiled. "Then I guess we're ready." "We are," he said. "For Paris, for whatever comes next for us." She rested her head on his shoulder, and, for a moment, the whole world finally made sense. 6 months later, the new Project Esperanza building was full of life. Children ran through the hallways, young adults laughed in classrooms, and adults learned how to create their first resumes on brand new computers that still smelled like fresh plastic. At the center of it all was Maria Lopez, now officially the coordinator of the training program, white coat, name embroidered, badge, and a smile that only grew stronger every day. She walked through the corridors, greeting students by name. She knew their stories, their doubts, their dreams, because once she had been just like them, scared, exhausted, and holding on to hope by a thread. "Maria," Elena, one of the volunteers, called. "The afternoon class wants to show you their career fair posters, and there's a little boy who says you're a princess disguised as a teacher. Tell him I'm more like a superhero in disguise, but I'll accept the crown if it's made of aluminum foil." Elena laughed, and Maria walked to room 3, where Pablo, an 8-year-old boy, was holding up a drawing of her wearing a red cape and holding a broom. "A broom, Pablo? Because you used to clean, right? But now you fly with it." She laughed, touched. That meant more than any award. Later, Maria went up to her office. On her desk, she found a cup of hot coffee and a small note. "Today at 6:00 p.m. Don't run away." She smiled. She knew Victor had been planning something, but she pretended not to notice. Their relationship was quiet but strong, built on respect, admiration, and far more laughter than she had expected. At exactly 6 p.m., he appeared in the hallway, dark suit, a subtle smile, and that look she had learned to read from a distance. "Come with me." "Kidnapping me again?" "If I am, the ransom will be a surprise." "That sounds risky. I was already won over by a pastry in the last chapter. This time, it's more serious." "Serious like you cooked? Serious like I'll have to wear heels?" "Now I'm scared." They arrived at a rooftop decorated with hanging lights, candles on rustic tables, and soft violin music playing in the background. It looked like a scene from a romantic comedy or a dream carefully crafted by someone who noticed every little detail about her. "Victor, what is this? A thank you dinner? For what?" "For existing." She looked around, visibly moved. "I never thought." She paused, swallowing her emotions. "That I'd be here, with you, with this. And I never thought a woman asleep in a bathtub would change my entire life." She laughed, her eyes shining. "I snored. Remember? I do. It was the most unforgettable sound of my career." They sat down. The dinner was light laughter, white wine, memories, and plans. When they finished dessert, Victor stood up. "Maria." She looked at him, curiously. He took a deep breath, walked toward her, and then tripped literally. "Oh my God, are you okay?" She jumped up, startled. "It was part of the plan," he said, standing up, trying to play it off. "Or not. But now it'll seem poetic." She burst out laughing. "You ruined the moment. I perfected the comedy." Then he pulled a small box from his pocket and knelt down. Maria froze. Victor looked into her eyes. "You walked into my life without warning and turned everything upside down. I had a strict routine, a life plan, 5-year goals, and you knocked all of that over with a mop in one hand and sarcasm in the other." She covered her mouth, already crying. "You showed me what it means to really live. You taught me to laugh at the chaos, to listen with my heart, and to love without fear. And if I'm lucky, I want to stumble through life with you forever." He opened the box, a simple, elegant ring with a small diamond and an inscription inside. 5 more minutes. Maria laughed through her tears. "Victor Maria Lopez, will you be my wife, my partner, and the only person allowed to snore in the bathtub of my heart?" She burst into laughter. "I can't believe you just said that. I thought about it for weeks, and I still think it sounds romantic." She took a deep breath, knelt down too, and hugged him. "Of course I will, you crazy CEO." They kissed right there, between candles and laughter. 2 months later, the garden at the Esperanza project had been transformed white decor. Light wooden chairs, simple but breathtaking flowers. Children held little baskets of petals. Volunteers laughed among the guests. Elena had been crying discreetly since breakfast. Maria walked down the improvised aisle in a light, lacy dress, her hair down with small flowers woven in. She walked slowly, full of emotion, to the sound of violins and soft sighs from the guests. Victor waited at the altar with the grin of a boy, navy blue suit, burgundy tie, and that look of someone whose life had changed forever. The moment she entered it. As she arrived, Maria glanced at Isabella, who was holding the rings with trembling hands. "Don't cry, or I'll start too," Maria whispered. "I've been crying for 3 days, haven't you noticed?" The ceremony was simple, with vows written by the bride and groom. Victor started. "Maria, you're the most beautiful chaos that ever entered my life. Before you, I thought love was something controlled, but now I know love is a mess laughter in the middle of a meeting, and a kiss that tastes like strawberry ice cream." Maria laughed, sniffling. "And even though I will never understand how you forget your email password every week, I promise to always remind you of who you are, the woman who changed everything." Maria took his hand and began. "Victor, you were the last thing I expected a man in a suit, serious face, and a heart that, luckily, I discovered was enormous. You saw me when I didn't even know there was anything left in me to be seen." She was laughing and crying at the same time. "I promise to love you even on the days when you're unbearably punctual, even when you try to cook and fail miserably, and even when you wear a tie that matches your socks, especially on those days." Everyone laughed. Isabella handed over the rings. The two exchanged a look, as if the whole world had gone silent. "I love you," Victor said. "I love you too, my real-life CEO." When the officiant officially pronounced them married, Victor kissed her with the same emotion as their first kiss, and Maria smiled, knowing she would never be alone again. At the reception, Victor pulled Maria to the middle of the dance floor as a slow song played. They danced awkwardly, laughing and whispering jokes to each other. "Are you ready to sleep next to a professional snorer?" "Since day one. And if I snore again, I'll record it and make it my ringtone." Maria threw her head back, laughing. "You are the best mistake I ever made." Victor pulled her closer. "And you are my favorite beginning." Later, as they left the party and walked toward the car decorated with tin cans and a makeshift sign that read "Just Married and Still Alive," Maria looked back at all the smiling faces and then at Victor. "You know what's crazy?" "What?" "All of this started with a nap. The best love stories start when we least expect them and when we accidentally fall asleep." They laughed and kissed again, because there, among confetti, friends, and love, Maria knew she had finally found her place in the world. And this time, she didn't need to wake up. What did you think of Maria and Victor's story? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Rate this story from 0 to 10. What score would you give it?